Yes, welcome back to the LXP Morning Flight, and this is the final lap, and something very, very important that we want to talk about. You know, every time we bring you on the show, we bring interesting topics and conversations that covers and borders around you, everything that has to do with you, everything business, lifestyle, your health, and today is very, very important too. We're talking about brand identity. How do you create your brand identity? And everybody wants to know what's happening around the brand. And joining us today is a brand strategist and data analyst, Christabel Amor, and she is joined us. She is looking wonderful. Like she got the memo from us that she has to look good actually doing that company. Good morning.
Yeah,
Good morning.
she's compliant.
Very compliant. Very
welcome.
She smiled, everything. She really got, you know, she went through the memo like, okay, tick box, you're ticking all the thing, everything.
She can
you
actually
know.
pass for a skin specialist because her skin is glowing.
And it also shows the brand. That's the brand. That's what we're talking about. Has to do with
But
brand.
that's branding.
That's sort of serious branding. So, Christabel,
Thank you for having me.
yeah, what should an organization consider? You know, why should an organization consider branding? Not an organization, individual. Why must you brand in the first place?
So branding is a very beautiful topic for me because yes, that's why I really am into branding, right? And branding has gone through so many stages.
Okay.
From the identification era, you know, this is water, this is acid, that's it. From the mass production era where everybody's trying to show, oh, this is what you can, this is my product or this is my brand. And then to this era that we are in now, branding is something that cannot be overemphasized for organizations because it just sets you apart. And apart from just setting you apart, it tells people this is who we are, this is what we are into, right? And this is how you can connect with us.
Okay.
And there are different elements really to branding, from your voice to how you look to the kind of colors you decide to put out there and how you communicate, your innovations, your products.
Yeah.
So all of those things are really considered. And it's important that you brand because beyond all of this, right, it helps you your market share. It helps you build equity. It helps you do so much. You know, branding is just something that you can't just overlook. It's something that has to be a very well thought out, analytical and logical process. To me, branding is the tree. There are things under it. There are roots. There are things that you put in to create a brand. So that's basically what I think.
Do you know why I'm smiling? I'm smiling because I just think when you talk about the branding, I know that is for the people in Warri, they're already branding themselves. There's a balance. Let me just say, I'll quickly put this proverb before the accident. They said in Warri, they said toothpick and chewing stick, they enter mouth, they get different function.
Absolutely.
So the toothpick is specific, but the chewing stick is general. So it's quite different.
Yes.
What I'm trying to say that both enter the mouth, but they have different things that they are doing, and it has to do with the brand.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So that's I just want to just
Yes,
put it out
something
there,
of
you
that
know,
sort, yeah.
so you know it's something where, yeah.
Yeah, I know for sure that one of the things we've learned about branding is whether you know it or not, you have a brand. Whether you're
Yes.
conscious of it or you're not conscious of it, you have a brand. So as an individual, because I hear you say, imply both individuals and organizations could be brands.
Yes.
Because you talked about your choice of colors,
Yeah.
and you talked about your choice of products. So we're looking at both individuals and organizations. Now, what are the critical elements that leaves a lasting impression in the hearts of people about your brand? What makes people makes your brand believable? What makes people buy into your brand? What critical factors contribute to making that possible?
Okay, so branding has to go beyond, you have to have an overarching ambition beyond the functionality of that product or that service first. You know, you have to understand exactly what need that you are meeting. You know, I always tell people that before I work with your brand, I need to understand exactly why that brand was set up. Beyond category lines. If you tell me you're into logistics...
And by category lines?
If you tell me you're into logistics,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to relate with you. I need to understand what problem you're solving because Uber is into logistics.
Yeah.
But then they move me from one place to another. So if I'm selling a bag or handbag, so I'm selling backhoe bags, so I'm selling carrier bags, I would tell you that I'm into lifestyle movements. Then I'm able to tell you, oh, this is what we are doing. Beyond the category, beyond manufacturing, beyond logistics, this is exactly what we are about. So branding starts from the business design, from the beginning stages of formulating that brand.
The specifics.
The specifics. What
Okay.
exactly are we seeking to address in this target market. Remember, when you've understood all of those elements, the target market, your competitors, you can now begin to think about what colors should we use, what tone of voice should we use in communicating, right? Where should we be seen? Where should we not be seen? What kind of communities do we create? And something you said, you spoke about how do you want people to relate to your brand? You see, everyone is trying to sell emotions now. We're no longer selling products and services.
Yeah.
Right? I have a device. It's how it makes me feel when I'm holding the device. So they sell the small intricacies to how they communicate, how this brand makes you feel. When you consume this product, it makes you feel this, it makes you feel that. So brands are trying to exploit all of those avenues to collect a share of our pockets. Because for me, branding is like collecting a share. It's trying to sieve through the clutter because you have a lot of brands.
Sure.
So basically, I think that's what it is.
Okay. Talking about branding, and I'd like to combine two questions together now.
Oh.
Would you, is it for only big organizations? Like if I just want to have a business, but I'm meeting the needs I require, it's okay, I'm getting the kind of income I want, but I'm not a large organization. Do I have to brand? And also, would you say it's quite expensive to brand? Based on the elements required for branding, would you say it's capital intensive? Because I know a lot of organizations that are not branding. They're just, okay, they're operating, but they haven't really come out to maybe explore their brand. So is it capital intensive? And also, must I brand if I'm a small organization?
Well, I mean, if you want to go for, I think you should brand.
Okay.
Because branding helps you build equity. It helps you expand your product.
Okay.
Because of the equity that a particular brand has, I can come up with more products.
Okay.
And I can build trust. When I purchase from these people, I'm very sure that I'm okay, I'm fine.
Sure. Okay.
I get excellent, top-notch services from these people. So I think it's important. And how do you really, how loud can you get? It's important that you brand. I don't know how to say it. You cannot not brand,
Okay.
right? Because even if you're a small organization, I'm sure you want to grow. Everyone likes growth.
Yes.
So when you brand, it helps you grow, basically. And it helps, and it's not so expensive to brand. An identity is very cheap. You can get platforms, you can get software platforms to build, to design a logo, to pick colors.
Okay.
Where the money comes in is communicating your brand identity.
Okay.
And that's the bedrock of communication process, communication strategy for every brand.
That means now, because I'm waiting for you to get to talk, because you're looking at, for branding, you're looking at the competitors, looking at your product, and looking at how the specifics now. So how do you get to communicate this thing? That's going to be like the bane, because it's more like, what I'm trying to say is like the branding builds, it's like you're building the bridge between you and the customer, the bridge. There were fences. The fences has to do with trust. I've dealt with this product before and it didn't go well and everything, but now you're trying to see how I can go beyond the fence, break down the walls, and now build bridges. I say, okay, you can now come be like that. So what do we have to do do we have to look at the communication, the style and everything? So just put us through that process and what you ought to do and how you want to do it in order to get across, to win their trust. Right. Because it has to be, if your brand is not trusted, nothing comes that way. And remember, you can be seen but not trusted.
Yes.
Okay.
So communication is a process. It's a strategy on its own. There's something called brand strategy. Everything that you are, and then there's a communication process. So that's where you determine the tone of voice you want to use in communicating, the channels with which you want to communicate to the people who you want to communicate with. Where do I find the people who can afford my product and services? Where do I find people who will love my product and services? And who are the key stakeholders I can engage to support me, my collaborators, my partners, to get to the people that I really want this product to get to. So communication strategy is a different ballgame entirely, because if it's not done properly, you can be misunderstood, and you can be just packed. What's the word? They can combine all of you together and say they're all the same. But when you're able to really be very distinct,
you stand out
with your communication, because you already have a distinct brand. You've planned the whole process right, and when you're able to be distinct with your communication, I think that's just because there are strategies to communicate. platforms to use, ways to go about it. So yeah, that's like a whole process entirely.
Yes, okay.
And just, I think while Ann Meta she made mention about some companies that do not have a brand. We started out by saying whether you know it or not, you have a brand. It could be either positive or negative. Now, the entire idea is to leave a lasting impression in the hearts of people. Now, we have a flux, like you mentioned, of brands, and there's everybody's selling about the same thing. And the idea is to leave a lasting impression in their hearts. How, in very, very simple, clear steps, can an individual move from not being a positive brand to from a negative brand to a positive brand in very, very good short time?
One word: experience.
Experience.
Give me an experience, and that's it.
Okay, no, I have a notion about a product.
Okay.
Yeah, this product, maybe because I heard somebody do something, or I've tested of this. Yes, I've tested of this product, and it didn't leave an impression. So how do you go about buying back your reputation, as it were, to start leaving a good impression?
Communication, you know, trying to build trust. Maybe reorganizing the brand, reorganizing the process. Maybe you communicate that we are back, but we are better.
Okay.
You know, we are different now. And one thing about leaving an impression on your consumers, I don't like to call them consumers. I feel like they are people with minds.
Yes.
It's creating an experience. You see, brand experience on its own is another thing. You need to leave me with an experience. So when I go, I can relive the experience I had with your brand. And how do you create that? Different strategies to create an experience. You're experiential, you have events, you have communities. When you're able to give a brand, because at the core of what you do, you need to have a brand platform. That is the structure where your communications come out from.
Okay.
It helps to galvanize the communication. So if my brand platform is according to, you know, let's say sharing happiness, I need to make sure that at every process, every journey, when you interact with my product, you feel like sharing happiness. So I have to create processes and experiences around my brand platform. So basically something that brands really need to look into and create experiences.
Okay, so I know there are different strategies in branding and there are different kinds of branding. So what's the core difference between brand and identity and brand personality?
Brand identity is the logos, sound, smell, motifs that just characterize the observable presence of your brand. But brand personality is the tone with which you want to use to communicate your brand. You were asking about how to create a lasting impression, right?
Yes.
The people have to feel the human side of your brand to be able to relate with it. So personality helps people relate. It's how you communicate.
It gives them a look and feel.
It gives them a look and feel. They have a strong affinity. People build connections with their properties. They're wondering why they've been able to tap into their minds.
And you talked about emotions.
Their emotions.
People they buy for emotional reasons.
Rather than rational, to be very honest. They always say, no, I plan and budget. It's not budget. Your emotions are driving you. So they're trying to get your emotions and get you to build an affinity, a strong affinity for the brand. So even if you don't have the money to get it, you do everything that this thing just characterizes my essence. Can you imagine? People feel like some products characterizes their essence. And they were able to do that through strong branding and communication strategy.
Okay, but you know, when you're talking about this, I just remember how that, I'm going back to 2015 when before former President Muhammadu Buhari came on board, you know, there was this talk already in the town and everybody said, this guy is a general, doesn't love everybody. Then suddenly we saw some pictures with, that was the first time I saw President Muhammadu Buhari wear a tuxedo, wear a bow tie. And they were trying to just let us know that he's a gentleman, and saw pictures with him carrying a child, that he's a father, and suddenly
emotions.
You know, and that for me was one of the things that really sold out to a lot of youths that, okay, now that he's a gentleman, he's not the general you see in the khaki, but he's now the one with the bow tie, is a gentleman, wearing tuxedo, and he's fit for the office and everything. So now, it means that, like you said, does it mean that the brand must appeal to this senses now has to be the sight, the hearing,
Yes.
you know, and
Your
of course
feelings.
the feelings, because these are the things that I see, I hear, and there are different. For me, I know, see, growing up, there's still some adverts I remember in 1986 that I heard.
I have
just
some
want us
right
to
now
know you
playing
were
in my
born
head.
So just playing
It
things
sounds like a
that.
perfume. Like I was passing by and I didn't intend to buy a perfume, and someone just marketed and said, "This, would you like to visit our shop?" And just spray the perfume, toop toop toop. And I just followed her because of the smell. I
Yes.
followed her into
How
the
it
store.
made you feel.
How it made
Yes.
me feel.
So
It appealed to my
so
senses.
now, so these are the, so it doesn't mean that we have to. What we're trying to look at is that people from not being seen, but now you need to come out. And so what are the basic steps that somebody has to do from not knowing to being known?
Okay.
That we have to do. Look at.
What need, first of all, are you really trying to meet? Because if you're not meeting a need, after some time you just fizzle out. You know, what need are you trying to meet? What your target audience?
Okay.
Who are you trying to? What problem are you really trying to solve? Are they latent needs? Did you observe trends? Did you say, okay, in the next 5 years, people will need 2 brushes that have 2 hands to hold together? Then you begin to develop products and services that are market fit. After that, after understanding who and who you're trying to talk to, then you create your identity around that. What do you want to look like when people see you? There's some logos that you see. When I go out and I see some logos, I stop to try to remember, what brand is this? And I remember, yes, it's this brand. I feel so good when I remember brands from just seeing their look. I feel like they are doing a good job.
Yeah.
It makes me happy that, this is this brand, this is that brand. So what do you want people to see to characterize your presence or your voice? Or can I be driving and I hear your soundtrack and I just smile? That means you give me an experience before that I really enjoy it. You know? So all of that is and then you now move to your because there's a brand planning life cycle actually. That you look at some elements, where am I, where do I want to go, who do I want to reach? It's a life cycle. And then from there you move to communication. Who do I need to engage to communicate? And then build equity.
Okay, then I realized some people have similar brands, or some people that are trying to come out, they try to build on a brand. For instance, maybe we'll have McDonald's, and with a logo hem, then you see some other person come with maybe like McDaniels with similar logos. What's your take on that? Is it advisable to build on an existing brand, or just try to form yours entirely different and start from? But so which would you advise, building on an existing brand, or just start your brand in general?
Well, it can be pretty expensive to start your brand and really build it, but an existing brand too is not a way out. Brands have to be original and authentic.
Okay.
You have to have a story you're telling us. Okay, brand experience, branding is storytelling. So you should build a brand.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Christabel Moore. Thank you for being a part of us today.